Welcome to Maximize Living with Dr. Patrick Andersen. I'm your host, Ellen Barrett, and we are heading out on location today to go see Dr. Pat at Maximize Living. He's hosting one of his Gut Check Advanced workshops, actually talking about digestive health and how that impacts your whole body. Let's take a look.
I'm excited about this one because it's such a missing link in healthcare. This is one of our 5 essentials, gut check. So it's one of our essentials, maximize quality nutrition. And it's an overwhelming problem. It's a significant problem in America. A lot of people have issues in their stomach. They have bloating, gas, poor digestion, pain, weight loss, resistance. Those are all conditions that are just very, very challenging this day and age for us. So we're going to have some fun tonight going through all of this. Through the handout with you a little bit. We've got a group of recipes in your handout on anti-inflammatory food. We've got a resource price list for you. There's a special discount tonight. And one of our guests today is Amanda Keene from Orthomolecular. Is a Wisconsin-based supplement company, and they've got some really unique products to help leaky gut syndrome and intestinal dysbiosis, or imbalances in normal bacteria. So what you've got in there is just some really good graphics. If you look at this one right here, you can see what we're going to be talking about, how the cells in the gut wall will separate when they get exposed to toxins or gluten or even dairy. And then proteins can be absorbed through the gut wall into the bloodstream, and then the body will react to them. And it causes inflammation throughout the body, even autoimmune diseases, even attacks the thyroid. So this is an issue that some will say over half the population have gut dysbiosis, or a leaky gut, or intestinal permeability it's called. So this will show you some great examples of what that really is. And some of the products, one is called GlutaShield, and it's got a number of different ingredients in it, but the L-glutamine has been known to be very helpful. Glutamine actually helps heal the gut lining for those with the leaky gut issue. And IgG Protect is one that's actually made of bovine colostrum that helps heal the gut. And then we have what's called Orthobiotic, and I'm excited about this one because it is finally a heat stable. It doesn't have to be refrigerated, a probiotic that doesn't have to be refrigerated. And this company tests everything at every stage, even at expiration, is how viable is the cultures. In fact, it's a major issue with probiotics because many of the cultures that you can buy in the store actually aren't alive yet. They've been tested for bioactivity in some experiments and found out that 44% of them weren't viable anymore. So we really want to have a very stable probiotic company. It's got to be managed well all the way along. And I'm really excited about actually switching to this company for the probiotics. Because now when I travel or I send it to my kids, I don't have to send it in a refrigerated pack. So it's a process in a very special way that preserves it. And then once it hits the gut wall and gets the moisture, then it opens up and reactivates the bacteria, the normal bacteria. One of the things I have fun with, have you ever heard to trust your gut? Yeah, well, it's actually true. We call the gut the second brain. How much do you think the brain weighs? Any ideas? No, don't brag. About 3 pounds. Now we have about 500 different strains of bacteria that live in our gut. And it's a symbiotic relationship. It's actually a healthy relationship. It helps with protein digestion, carbohydrate digestion. It produces vitamins, vitamin K. It's involved in producing vitamin B, and it's critically important. It keeps the bacteria, kills bacteria that get into our gut, the healthy ones. But we have, guess how many pounds, we call the gut, that internal gut mechanism, we call it the second brain. Guess how many pounds of bacteria we have in our gut? More than we have brains. About 4 pounds on average. 4 pounds of bacteria. And how's your bacteria doing? We don't even think about taking care of it. These are new concepts. And yet digestive problems are rampant in this country. Rampant digestive issues, especially as we get older. We get a belly bloat, and we can't lose weight, and there's inflammation, discomfort, distension, and it has a lot to do with how healthy our bacterial microbiome is in our intestinal tract. So that's what we'll be talking about tonight. So one of the things we're going to be talking about is how do we get healthy in the gut so that it helps us stay healthy. You've seen the commercials by now, I'm sure, where they say, what percentage of immunity is in the gut? 70%. So that's a lot. So we want to make sure the gut is healthy and balanced. We call this the second brain. And what's interesting is that you've heard of serotonin. It makes you happy and helps you sleep, right? Serotonin, and for people who are depressed, they'll give them serotonin uptake inhibitors. But serotonin, 90% of the serotonin in the body, made in the gut. That's fascinating, that's that much important. In fact, there's 30 neurotransmitters that are made in the gut, in a normal, healthy gut. Now dopamine, the chemical of reward, that's 50% is made in the gut. So those are very important things. So that's why we want to help have a better mood, change your intestinal function, and it'll help your moods. And that's not common knowledge. That's what's so exciting about this. This is new breaking information for people, that how just we work together with the symbiotic relationship in keeping our intestinal tract healthy. And so many are not. Some of the symptoms, digestive issues, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic infection, fatigue, fibromyalgia, allergies, joint pain, arthritis, a lot of skin disorders, often with imbalances in the body. So there's inflammation going on. And because it's such a systemic thing, that's why we focus on total wellness, because as you really need to take care of all of the issues. So how do we get a bad gut? How do we have a problem? Well, we get poor nutrition. 80% of Americans think they have good nutrition. 10% actually do. So it's not so good. And there was an article in the Wall Street Journal that said 10% of high school students have actual adequate nutrition. So there's a lot of nutritional deficiencies going on. Also a lot of inflammation and toxicity and absorption of chemicals and pesticides, additives. Inadequate sleep. The average person is about an hour short of sleep a day. So sleep really makes a difference for your whole body to recover. So stress. Stress often will interfere with sleep. Stress upsets the digestive tract. Stress creates cortisol. We all heard of that, right? Cortisol inhibits serotonin and dopamine. It blocks them from functioning. So stress and sleep and adjustments, all that plays a factor. Exercise plays a factor. Got to have good motion, good oxygenation of your body to make this all work. Our stress hormones that we just talked about become an issue. Many people have toxic issues, and then there's that imbalance in that gut flora we talked about. I've got a personal question for you. How many times, this is really personal, How many times should you go in a day? Twice, you're pretty close, yeah. Basically, and some people go once, some people go a long time in between, right? And they reabsorb, they're toxic, and it's not good. It's good to go to the bathroom. Bowel movements, once for every time you have a meal, there should be a bowel movement. So if you're eating 3 meals a day, 3 times would be a healthy body. And that sounds like a lot, and some people have always heard like 1 a day is fine. But just to mention that to you, that if you're not having regular bowel movements, something isn't right in your diet, or there's some issues upsetting that could be relatively easily fixed. And intestinal mobility is one of the early signs of a bowel issue. So if you aren't going, then that lack of mobility is one of the early signs of bowel imbalance. So how the brain affects the gut? Well, stress will affect cortisol, raise your cortisol, which will influence digestion. When we get stressed, our nervous system and our blood supply are all meant for fight or flight, and digestion slows down when we're stressed. So when we have a lot of cortisol in our body, will interfere with our normal stress reaction, and that will slow down digestion. So the brain affects that. And then the gut will influence the brain through the neurotransmitters it creates and affect the mood that way. And interestingly enough, a study in Harvard showed that meditation would actually help those with irritable bowel syndrome. In other words, calming the mind down would help reduce cortisol and settle down the digestive tract.
Have your questions for Dr. Pat answered on an episode of Maximize Living. Send your email to drpat@wi57.tv.
So we talk in Maximize Living, the real answer is to follow the 5 essentials. Now we've had these for 10 years, the 5 essentials, and we haven't been able to add anything to them or decrease. So this one fits under the nutrition. And I'd ask you, if you know of another essential thing that would fit in here, let me know, because these are the 5 things. And what's most fascinating is we'll start up, as a chiropractor, we start out with the nervous system first. The brain controls all healing and all functions of the body through the spinal cord and nerves. So that's the main thing. And then we have a patient will come in and we examine them, find issues in their spine, adjust them, and we'll give them exercises to help hold that adjustment. Before you know it, they're going to want to start doing other exercise, cardio exercise. I feel like exercising, patients often will say as their spine starts functioning better. So they do the ones for their spine and they do some more cardio exercise. Then with the exercise they say, like, I'm hungry, or I want to eat real food, and they start changing their diet gradually. And then pretty soon as you change your diet, you're looking at the additives and the preservatives, and you're changing the substances that you're putting into your body and watching for the chemical irritants and toxicities. And then lastly, I want to think better. Maybe I should not be mad at my mom or dad from 20 years ago, or maybe I should talk to my brother or sister again. You know, things like that we hold affects all your chemistry. So those 5 essentials are critical in really getting better health. It isn't so much can you get healthy, it's what do you need to do? What's the essential you need to focus on in addition to your spine and nervous system? The body is a healing machine. It makes 1 million cells a second. 200 different types out of the food you eat. Amazing. And it destroys 1 million cells a second, otherwise we'd be ever expanding, right? Serotonin and dopamine are the 2 main neurotransmitters that we talk about. Serotonin is a natural mood stabilizer and helps with a lot of other bodily function. Sleeping, eating, and even digesting. Dopamine for neurotransmitter, it's a factor in motivation, productivity, and focus. So 7 days to improve your sleep and decrease stress. This is a little hard to see. You know, one of the things is to take control of your night and morning. Find a way to go to bed at the same time and get up at the same time. Get that rhythm working so your body gets in good rhythm. That'll make a difference. If you can't do both, at least get one where you either going to bed at the same time or getting up at the same time. But get a routine in the morning. Hour of power, many people talk about. Some of the highest producing professionals and CEOs of corporation, they have their hour of power in the morning. They'll get up, they'll read their scripture or positive attitude, they'll get a quick workout in, you know, and they're ready for their day. They have their day planned, and they're much more productive whenever you get that workout in. So one of the things I always say is those exercises we give you, do them the first thing in the morning, like the price tag for your day. And you'll always have a better day. And I always say exercise doesn't take time and energy, it gives you time and energy. Now, some of the other things to reduce the stress aspect is having goals. Goals is just like putting a rudder on a ship. A person without a goal is like a ship without a rudder. Where is it going? And so the goals in every category of your life are critical to help reduce stress because you're taking action. Stress lowers when you take action. When we sit there and worry, that's when stress builds. Gratitude, attitude of gratitude is, you know, one of the things, if I'm working out pretty hard and the stairs look challenging after I get done with a hard workout, I'll just take one stair at a time. And I'll just, what am I grateful for here? I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. You know, with each step. But put gratitude into your lifestyle. It is an amazing healer and reducer of stress and balancer of the hormones. And many people will journal as well and write down their thoughts and goals in that aspect. So that helps reduce stress. And of course, we want to turn your power on. What I find fascinating is how when people have subluxation, you all know what subluxation is, right? The misalignment of the structure that interferes with the normal nerve firing. When people have subluxation, it raises cortisol level. It also lowers dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin. So when we do an adjustment, we actually boost serotonin. The traction comes off of the brain and then brain nuclei produce serotonin better because there's no traction from the head being forward as much. And it's fascinating studies. And then your body balances better. The cortisol, when that lowers with adjustments, then it doesn't inhibit the dopamine and serotonin anymore. So I just want each of you to think about those that are taking all these psychotropic medications and things, and do they really do everything for their body that will help them? So many of the studies are showing that if you do cardio 3 times a week, it's just as effective as many of the antidepressant medication without the side effects. So I just encourage you to look at that.
Have your questions for Dr. Pat answered on an episode of Maximize Living. Send your email to drpat@wi57.tv.
Inside story of leaky gut. I think you'll see that intestinal inflammation, nutrient malabsorption, B12, magnesium, iron, you don't absorb those as well when you have this. And keep in mind, over half our population has this. Gets an immune response, and then we get multiple food intolerances. So if you have a lot of food intolerances, you're probably dealing with leaky gut. And that can lead to autoimmune disease where your body actually starts attacking itself. Many thyroid conditions are actually the thyroid being destroyed by your own autoimmunity. And this system can trigger that. So let's look a little closer here. The little bags you see on the very top portion there around the perimeter, these are called enterocytes. They're in your small intestine. When gluten touch those enterocytes, they release a substance called zonulin. Zonulin then releases these tight junctions and causes a space between the cells. That's what leaky gut is. So therefore, bacteria, gluten, partially digested molecules can get absorbed in your body. And what's your body going to do with that? It's going to attack it. It's going to cause an inflammatory reaction. And that's why so many areas, conditions can develop from poor digestion. Hippocrates says, look first to the gut, as a source of many, if not most diseases. Progression is, as these products go through the cell, we'll get food intolerances. So if you can get IgG testing, and you can see how many different foods you can be sensitive to, and then you have to avoid it for a while, heal your body up, and then you rotate those foods back in. But if you keep having the foods, there's more inflammation, you'll get immune system issues, and then even autoimmune disease. And those food intolerances are just classic of a leaky gut. It affects many systems. Frequent colds, food sensitivities in the joints. Rheumatoid arthritis is closely related to this. Fibromyalgia, you know, people who have that, it's a systemic condition, and it's closely related to this leaky gut or intestinal permeability. Adrenal fatigue. How many people feel fatigued? You know, it's a big deal. Colon issues, diarrhea, constipation, irritable bowel. Thyroid is very sensitive and often is attacked in autoimmune disease with Hashimoto's disease. Any skin rashes, acne, rosacea, eczema, psoriasis can be closely related. And of course the brain, depression, anxiety, and ADHD. So if you have any of these arthritis, allergies, depression, eczema, hives, psoriasis, chronic fatigue, thyroid issues, food sensitivities, fibromyalgia, these can be going on because of intestinal permeability or leaky gut. So we want to remove the bad foods. So that would be sugar, processed foods, and rancid fats, and trans fats. So you want to have better oils, you want to eliminate the sugar, and especially don't use any of the fake sugars. You know, the packaged sugars, this coffee sweetener, those are not healthy for you. Processed foods will irritate the gut lining, and rancid fats, and many fats turn rancid. So really only the good oils to have are avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, grape seed oil. Those are the good healthy ones, and they also are better fat for your body, more omega-3s, and not predominantly omega-6s like corn oil and sesame oil and many of those. Vegetable oil. Sounds like it would be healthy, right? Vegetable oil? No, it's very inflammatory to your body. So replace with good foods, you know, fresh veggies, it always comes down to that. Low sugar fruits, which really means berries. You can have all the berries you want, basically. Berries are low glycemic index, so they're not going to raise your blood sugar, and they're just packed with antioxidants. And these antioxidants are important. We have free radicals that happen in chemical reactions in our body. These free radicals damage our body over time, cause aging and breakdown and disease. And if you have enough antioxidants, they'll donate a free electron and neutralize the free radical if you have enough antioxidants. So it's just really critical to be eating healthy foods to slow your aging and stay healthy, prevent disease.
Have your questions for Dr. Pat answered on an episode of Maximize Living. Send your email to drpat@wi57.tv.
Thank you so much for joining us for Maximize Living with Dr. Patrick Andersen. Join us next time as we'll be continuing the conversation from the Gut Check Advanced Workshop talking about your digestive health, and you can find it only here on Wisconsin's 57 Television.